Today is the day. Happy hump day and also happy Wednesday. But today is the day that NVIDIA reports their awaited earnings. And is NVIDIA going to save the market in the sense of stopping the gigantic bleeding that is happening right now in SaaS apocalypse that is now being called by pretty much mainstream Wall Streeters? Even though, if you've been following me for the last couple weeks now, by the way, if you want to subscribe, completely free, we are on a very long journey here because every single day is a brand new day in the market, and every single day you really just can't. There's always stuff to talk about. I'm going to try to keep this video under 17 minutes. If you have been following me and enjoy my content, please smash the like button. And like I said, think about subscribing, completely free. But NVIDIA, there were times during 2023 where NVIDIA literally saved the market. What does that mean? That basically means that it was all eyes on NVIDIA to basically look at the AI play. Hey, is AI still real? Is it still relevant? Why does it matter? Well, it matters because if companies are not buying chips primarily, then they're no longer betting on AI to be very much integrated into the future. So hopefully, hopefully NVIDIA comes out today and pretty much assures people that, hey, the AI bubble has not popped. Do I believe that we are in an AI bubble? I actually do. Okay, a lot of people are going to be fighting you tooth and nail saying we're not in an AI bubble. Then you got people on the opposing side saying the bubble is about to burst. I am very much a believer that we have just started the bubble. Because when you look at things in the market, everything is just one big bubble. Okay, whenever a market or sector runs up significantly and then pops and it crashes by like maybe 70-80%. Prime example is after the first secular bull during the 70s, the Great Inflation, the market had a tremendous fall. And then the second secular bull market kicked off after the 70s, the 80s, the roaring 90s, the early 2000s. Sure, the dot-com bubble burst was a own little bear market in a way, but ultimately the great financial crisis ended the second secular bull market. Right now we're in the third one. Well, if you actually look back on your history, things tend to happen every 20 to 30 years, give or take. And around 2035, ironically, Social Security is supposed to go bankrupt. That's right. Millennials, along with primarily millennials, are going to be looking to retire around that time frame. So you're going to have a cycle of money being cycled out. You're going to have a generation entering into a retirement period. And I mean, hey, I'm an American. I love my country, but Social Security, it's not. I'm 37 right now. I mean, the whole reason I'm investing money is because the thought of living on Social Security 30 years from now is horrifying. I'm a firm believer that it's not probably even good. It's going to be like chump change in 30 some odd years, okay? Which is very sad because there was a point in time, probably about maybe 20-15 years ago, that you had seniors, people who retired, they were perfectly fine living on their Social Security. Now it's like you're living on your Social Security. What are you eating? Like mac and cheese? It's undoable. So I'm a firm believer that the bubble for AI has just begun. These companies are going to be spending money every single year, probably for the next decade. Okay, Amazon 200 bill, Google 180 bill, Meta over 100 bill, and Meta is very much taking a stance in AMD to probably even out the playing field, in my personal opinion. I've studied Mark Zuckerberg. I've learned a lot about the guy just reading about him and also listening to him speak. He is really not for kind of like a monopoly in a way, having one company rule everything. Prime example. Imagine if the only cell phone service was available was AT&T. Imagine if Verizon wasn't around. Imagine if T-Mobile wasn't around. Imagine if, oh boy, I'm drawing a blank here because the only cell service I've really had over the years is AT&T or Verizon. But imagine if AT&T was the only cell service out there. What would that mean? AT&T could charge whatever. So AMD, I've spoke about AMD in yesterday's video. If you have the time, check out yesterday's video. It's very informative, and it really is important about how AMD is such a incredible buying opportunity. If I had to really think about it, where would be the best buying opportunity in my opinion, SoFi or AMD? I mean, honestly, at this point, AMD is a disruptor company. AMD is a disruptor company to NVIDIA. And I am a firm believer that NVIDIA is going to beat on earnings, triple beat. Hold on. Electrolyte cheers. Yeah, water with electrolytes. Hold on. Oh, boy. Guys, stay hydrated. I'm a firm believer that NVIDIA will triple beat today. What the market is really primarily looking at is making sure that these companies are still spending money. NVIDIA is probably going to make, and if I said AMD beat today, obviously I mean NVIDIA. I just have AMD and NVIDIA too much on my mind. Firm believer that NVIDIA is going to triple beat. The market is really looking at primarily about what NVIDIA is going to be saying for their guidance. More than likely, the market has no issues with if they're going to beat on EPS and beat on earnings. It's all about the guidance as well. If they throw in that, hey, OpenAI is getting some type of investment from us, or if they even mention OpenAI in a positive manner, that could also squash a lot of fears too. Because there's a lot of fears out here that OpenAI is not going to be able to raise their money to continue to buy chips, because essentially the AI play is going to be gone. It doesn't work like that, okay? And if everything works out accordingly and AI really is the future, you're going to see these companies such as Amazon, such as Meta, such as Google, their revenue growths are going to be exploding, and NVIDIA is going to be exploding too. On the flip side, my baby, Lisa Su, she's going to be leading AMD. Whoo! Oh, very much in big numbers. So, today, right now, the market is very much in a good rally. It kind of really bothers me a little bit. I get some hibbity-jibbities when, like, a lot of these stocks are very much green, per se, before, like, very big expectations. And the reason I get some hibbity-jibbities is always because buy the rumor, sell the news. You got to be considering that. Maybe the market is very much green right now because obviously NVIDIA could very well prop up the market. But what if NVIDIA doesn't prop up the market? Or what if NVIDIA does and the market just wants to pretty much continue to sell off, right? So something I do want to go ahead and cover really quick is basically some catalysts. I cover this when we have very much important stuff. So we don't really have any catalysts coming out for the broader market that can very much like move the market. PPI very much maybe, but CPI and PCE is definitely more so looked, especially by Powell. And you got to remember, Powell is in power. But I mean, yeah, we really don't have data until probably about a good like couple weeks here, 2 weeks. And if NVIDIA goes ahead and flops for whatever reason, we don't have a catalyst to really move us in any higher. If we just go ahead and look at the Federal Reserve meeting, 21 days until the next Fed meeting, obviously we got a 2% chance here that's not, the market is very much accepted that we're not going to be getting a rate cut anytime soon. I do want to cover this really quick before getting back to the charts here. The AI investor sentiment So I have been looking at this ever since probably, I want to say, around Liberation Day. And this is just really driven by algos, AI once again. But right now, we're pretty much seeing the start of this year for a bullish sentiment is decreasing. However, that is bullish in its nature. Okay. Why is that? So, hypothetically, if we do not experience a Liberation Day 2.0 and this market doesn't free fall all the way down, typically what ends up happening is that when more and more people become less bullish, the opposite tends to happen in the overall market. So obviously Liberation Day, it was at all-time bearishness, and then that's when you knew that the market was bottoming and it was going to be pretty much doing a V-shaped recovery, right? So right now we're seeing the AI sentiment is very much, the majority is not bullish whatsoever. If anything, there's more so neutral sentiment really growing. So as the market becomes less bullish and we see more and more people saying, this is a terrible market, the bottom is very much in. But understand that this stuff can very much change in a blink of an eye here, a flick of a switch, snap of a fingers. But this is just something to really look at too. So let's go ahead and look at the charts here and look at some stuff to really close out this video momentarily. And do I believe that NVIDIA can actually go ahead and push up a gigantic rally in the overall market? Well, let's go ahead and look back in history because this is very, very, very important, okay? Around this time frame, especially around 2023, NVIDIA was definitely in a consolidation period. But if we compare it to pretty much SPY back during 2023, where are we? 2023, you basically pretty much see kind of like the opposite. The opposite basically pretty much happening. We obviously had a very nasty end of the year of 23 here, but we compare it to NVIDIA. At the end of 23, NVIDIA just continued to pretty much move higher. Now, I remember watching NVIDIA during this time period when NVIDIA very, very much was on an epic rally. And there were time periods in the market where SPY was very much in a bad situation, and NVIDIA came in and just gave phenomenal earnings, EPS, and guidance. NVIDIA just soared, and it pretty much caused the major indexes to follow in suit. I mean, when you have a company, NVIDIA, I believe, is like 5 trillion now. When you have a company, just think about it this way. If NVIDIA goes up by 10%, you're talking about a $500 billion move. Yesterday, we saw a move because of Meta and also AMD. Actually, that was Monday. Monday Fun Day, right? Yes, Monday. Monday, we saw a move based because Meta and also AMD is very much doing business together. So overall, the market is feeling really good. The algos are going to pick that up. When I say algos, I actually didn't know this the first couple years that I was in the stock market. But then again, I really didn't know anything about like the stuff I'm talking about now per se. I just knew to basically buy beaten down great companies throughout 2020 and 21. Obviously, where you could argue that we're in somewhat of a certain time period of that again, but very different, okay? The algos, obviously, in any bad sentiment is going to drive stocks down. When I say algos, talking about bots. Yes, bots. Bots are legitimately controlling the market. I know that sounds crazy, but bots are essentially buying and selling, and when there's good stuff coming in, that's why, like, after earnings, if the earnings are really, really good, you basically see, like, a stock go, boo, or just, boo, because of bots, algos, okay? It's all bot-driven. That is the world that we live in, especially for the market. So if you have a single company just performing tremendously and pushing up growth, even if NVIDIA goes up by 5%, hypothetically, you're still talking about potentially $250 billion. That's a lot. Okay, that's not, yes, obviously that's not like $1 trillion anymore. And $1 trillion companies are just really a dime a dozen nowadays too. And I mean, hey, there's going to be a period not too long from now where there's going to be a $10 trillion company. How crazy is that? Yeah. Give it the next couple of years. There's going to be a $10 trillion company. It's going to be unfriggin' believable. But $250 billion can still move the market. So how can this impact my stocks that I own on this channel profile here? Well, SoFi obviously can very much get a boost higher because SoFi right now is just really, it's very much just algo based. Obviously every data point for the economy is pretty much out. We're not going to be getting a rate cut anytime soon. So SoFi is really just following the broader market. Obviously if the broader market's going to rally and push higher, hey, SoFi is going to follow in suit. AMD here today could very much get a nice push higher because more deals are going to be coming up. Meta is not going to be the only big one. I mean, OpenAI, if they follow through on their buying, that's going to be a tremendous. Obviously, this gap up here back in October was because of OpenAI promising to buy NVIDIA chips. Yes, 17 minutes probably is. Let's keep it under 20 minutes. Wrapping this up now. Palantir, Adobe, maybe because the semis are moving, maybe the SaaS apocalypse are starting to come to an end, but Adobe's earnings are right around the corner, March, so you got to take that in consideration. Maybe a lot of these companies are going to be turning stuff around. Maybe, honestly, a lot of people are really all eyes on Adobe because obviously Adobe, you have quarterly earnings. Quarterly earnings are far greater than Palantir. And if we even look up some of the other Salesforce, we even look up some of the other SaaS apocalypse. Salesforce, oh wow, I didn't even realize Salesforce's earnings is today too. Wow. Okay, Salesforce has a lot of revenue. So maybe Salesforce is going to definitely end the SaaS apocalypse. I gotta actually be covering Salesforce now because Salesforce very much impacts Adobe and impacts Palantir. Oh, wow. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to be talking about Salesforce. But to really wrap this up on a really good note, really high expectations around NVIDIA, not to mention another small company of mine, Honest Company, they're reporting after the bell. For all I know, Honest Company could actually go very much higher. If that does happen, I'm going to be selling my Honest and I'm going to be buying some Adobe. Okay, my friends, let me know in some comments down below if you think NVIDIA is going to do great things after the bell. Let's hope they do. Even though I would love to continue to buy discounted shares, I'm very well positioned here. So I understand a lot of people are very much in pain. And a lot of people are very hoping and praying that this market goes up. And yeah, let's go ahead and end this down pain. If you've been following me now for a couple months, I pretty much stated that I believed that it was going to be earnings that was going to save the market. Well, earnings seasons is theoretically not over just yet because we got NVIDIA today and also Salesforce. So maybe I was partially right. Okay, partially right. But I did say that January was going to be terrible and February was going to be a gigantic rally. So I was wrong about February. But then again, I just picked up more discounted shares. Can't complain. If you enjoyed today's episode, like this video, please. And I'll see you tomorrow on the next one. Later.